Why did people hate this movie? I don't get it. First, let's get some backstory. Years ago, and I mean years ago, there were some rumors and even some concrete news of a new SpongeBob movie being in the works. And then finally, we got some concept art. Trust me, I'm glad this isn't the movie that we got, but definitely would have been interesting to see where the style would have went. Fast forward to 2019/2020, from these promotional posters, you can clearly see that they decided to go with a CG design, similar to the latter half of their last film. Fast forward even more, and then we finally get a trailer and a concrete release date. Things are definitely starting to look up for this movie. And then, BAM! The virus. Everything's closed, we can't do anything, well, whatever, man. And then we have to wait a little longer, wait for things like movie theaters to open up, and then here, we finally get a new release date. For Canada. In case you're wondering, no, this movie has not been released in America yet. Fast forward to a couple days ago, they finally put it on Netflix internationally! Except for America. Cause I mean, really, fuck us. I'm sure some of you didn't even know that there was a SpongeBob movie coming out, but it did. It did. Nickelodeon's advertising was just terrible. But regardless, I finally watched the movie legally. What do you know? They lived right up to my expectations, and trust me, I was hyped for this. I was sad to see the 2D style go, but the CG in this movie is absolutely stunning. Not only did I think the animation was stunning, but I thought that most of the jokes were also pretty funny most of the time. And you gotta remember, it's a children's film. They're gonna have to make more dry, simplistic jokes for children to laugh at and understand. But to the point of this video, lots of people hated this film. I mean, I act like I don't know why, but it's because of the CG. I mean, clearly that's not the only reason why, but I know that a lot of people weren't super stoked to see them ditch the 2D style. For example, me. I was very bummed out when I found out it was going to be all CG, but when I actually saw the CG and how actually just stylized and amazing it looked, I got pretty excited. Secondly, there's a lot of longtime fans that haven't seen a SpongeBob episode in years and watched this movie as bitterly as possible. And thirdly, they didn't like it. And what really bummed me out was that there's a lot of YouTubers that I really admire that didn't like this movie. For example, Uncle Al, he had this to say about the movie.
Just finished watching Sponge on the Run. Disappointed to report that it was pretty bad.
Pretty harsh if you ask me. Then even Saberspark. And even people that I don't really like that much, but still follow just because I keep forgetting to unfollow them, like LS Mark. Man, he just keeps laying down L after L after L. Definitely very upsetting to see that all these people that I actually genuinely admire, except for LS Mark, didn't like this movie all that much. So what I decided to do was go through a bunch of scenes and tell you what I liked, what I didn't like, and please do not take this as gospel. Watch the movie for yourself, tell me what you think, and with that, let's go, man. Starting off, the first thing that I definitely noticed was in the scene where SpongeBob pokes his head out to greet Patrick, you can really hear the age and strain that the SpongeBob voice has put on Tom Kenny.
Good morning, Patrick!
That's something that you'll notice throughout the film. It's not too distracting, but you notice it. Second thing I noticed about the scene is just how detailed and beautiful these textures are. And don't even get me started on the backgrounds, man. No doubt this budget was huge. Next thing I wanted to bring up was Patrick. Lately in the show, they made Patrick so dumb. Just beyond dumb. I mean, in the earlier seasons he was dumb, but he just felt more like sarcastic back then, more so than dumb. If that makes sense. Thankfully, I get that same feeling here. He's not annoyingly dumb. Next, the movie definitely didn't cheap out on the music licensing. I mean, they did create some original tunes, but most of the soundtrack was just licensed music. For the original songs and covers, they went with Weezer. Good call, they're great. One thing very apparent from the opening montage is just how sweet and warm and I love the SpongeBob Gary dynamic so much, man. It was so cute. After all, this movie is about Gary being kidnapped, and while I definitely liked Have You Seen This Snail a lot better, I feel like that's just a nostalgia thing. Because if I was a kid and I watched this movie, I'd probably like this more than that episode. Fun fact about the OS, it was composed by the legendary Hans Zimmer. Now to the Krusty Krab. First we get to see Squidward, and I'm happy to say that he's on point as well. Every scene with him is just a delight. Next up, we get Mr. Krabs. It's super hard to mess up Mr. Krabs. If you do, that's That's just sad. All you need to do is make him cheap. If you've made him cheap, you've done it right. The first thing that I noticed about Mr. Krabs is his character model. It's so shiny. He looks like he just got out of like a sweaty rave. I mean, with all that glitter on him, I love it. As is the usual with SpongeBob, the visual humor is on point. Never ceases to make me smile. Next, we get Plankton. He's always been my favorite character, so not getting him right is a cardinal sin, but I think they did fine. They definitely did him a lot better in the second movie, but whatever. I mean, I love that insert coin gag. I feel like if they incorporated it more than just twice, it could have been a funny running gag, but oh well, twice is good enough for me. And there are so many great, like, little visual references to previous episodes within the interior of the Chum Bucket. Now Sandy, she is hideous. She is disgusting looking. Why did they make her hair look so dirty? She looks like she just got out of like a cold ass shower in the sewer. Anyways, Sandy pitches a robot to Mr. Krabs, helping around the restaurant. Usually, I wouldn't even mention this, but it's voiced by Aquafina. And similarly to the first movie, the main villain is the ruler of the seas. But in a strange continuity twist or more so plot hole, is King Poseidon as opposed to King Neptune. He's also voiced by the ever-talented Matt Berry, whom I know for his work on What We Do in the Shadows, a phenomenal show that I would recommend to any fan of mockumentaries. But other than that, he also played Bubbles the dolphin in the last film. Anyways, blah blah blah, spoilers, fast forward, it's a buddy movie, much like the first movie. It's not like a great big grand adventure like the first two, but you know, it's a good buddy movie. Fast forward more and we get to meet a new character, Sage. Played by Keanu Reeves of all people. He's definitely a legend. I'm glad he agreed to do this movie, and I'm also a fan of the character as well. And in the next scene, we get a scene with Snoop Dogg? Yeah, they really went all out with the guest, didn't they? Eat your heart out, truth or square. Fast forward even more, Kelpie G. The actual clarinet solos were performed by the real Kenny G. Man. And then we get, dear lord, man, Tiffany Haddish now? Okay, there's too many celebrity guests. Next thing of note, by far, the most bitched about scene on the internet is the Camp Coral flashbacks. This is definitely one thing I can't agree upon. Recon. There's a scene in this film in which the main cast recounts how they first met SpongeBob in summer camp. For example, Sandy. What? Okay, screw you. SpongeBob meets Sandy in one of the first episodes of the show. It's just a little annoying is all. Retcons are never anything that should be misconstrued as positive. Don't get that wrong. But regardless, it's still really cute with the Patrick scene and the Squidward scene, and I love them. Sorry I skipped so much, but I really only wanted to talk about the basic fundamentals without spoiling too much, so there you go. The final scene of the movie before the credits is this. A tribute to Steven Hillenburg. He's even credited as the executive producer, which should tell you how long this film was in production. I mean, who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Bob Esponja. You know what I mean. And I always love watching the credit scenes in these movies. This is definitely not an exception by any means. All great songs with all great visuals in the background. I mean, nothing can beat Pharrell or Ween, but hey, nothing can beat my nostalgia for those crashing waves. And the final song you hear in the credits is Kenny G's rendition of Gary Come Home. Stunning. To conclude, the first movie blows this one out of the water. The second one is definitely better as well, but this movie's great too. Don't expect this one to be your new favorite, but also don't go in thinking that it's terrible, because it's not. It's not. I had a lot of fun watching this one. At the end of the day, if your kids liked it, then it's a success. It's definitely a shame that the movie tanked because of poor timing, but please, if you can in your region, I definitely recommend giving this one a watch. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I'm not blown away, but you know, charmed. Thank you for watching, and if you haven't already, please watch my new Bang Bros video. It didn't get a whole lot of views, but I don't know. I thought it was pretty good.
Fine, I'll get in the fucking
It's
rhino.
a literal tank.
Left click.
What did you do? Right click? You can still get out. Holy shit.
We are so far away.
Link in the description and end card, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Hopefully.
The homie pushed about the crack.